Morning. My name is Stephen Peterson, and today I will be presenting you some information on the arts and science of butchering. One may begin by asking, what is it like to be a butcher? I could reply to you in many a way, but I would like to keep my remarks to a few interesting details about what it means to be the umpire calling the game rather than simply the person pitching the baseball. What I'm suggesting is that there is a design of art that comes with the butchering and culinary acts and a practice of science which informs the old world butcher with the modern well-skilled meat inspector. Despite early humanity's lack of sufficient tools for cutlery, the crafting of sharp-edged stones for the increasing demand of animal protein rapidly emerged. Empirical-based evidence shows deep cut marks in the remains of broken bones. With these injuries, Thomas Wake, and director of zoo archaeology at the University of California, Los Angeles, would safely conclude, among other licensed clinical anthropologists, medical examiners, and scientist practitioners, that splintered, shattered, and foul stones were used to remove tissue from animal bone at the hands of our ancient ancestors more than 2.5 million years ago. Notwithstanding this, it is not very hard to see how cutting tools would become the innovating idea which would then rapidly emerge. By 300 BC. The Romans gave public display of slaughtering animals. The obsession with animal proteins had grown so immersively that Romans documented and observed exotic meats such as giraffe and tiny mice stuffed with pine nuts. Fast forward to the medieval period, butchery began to thrive and develop in Europe as the nomadic population began to aggregate into the services for the leisure of a much larger population. Butcher parlors were now restricted to certain neighborhoods for trade. With the advent of stone, bronze, and metal discovered from earlier civilization, the industrial age catapulted the technological consistencies of sharp cutting tool into a man and machine and a power and mass production. Via railroads, trains, prepacked meats, refrigeration, transportation, and conveyor belts. The cleaver was replaced by the bandsaw as the individual began to lose himself in fragmented ethic that left him divided between pre and post-mortem inspecting. For example, USDA Prime, Select, and Choice. The earliest mention in history was in London, England, where worshipful company of Butcher's God, which was formed early as 975 AD, they would meet regularly at the Butcher's Hall located in various parts of the city. The first meat packer was William Pynchon. He became the first to pack pork in barrels with salt to ship to the West Indies and colonies. To become a journeyman butcher, you would need to complete a 3-year apprentice program under a master butcher. Once you complete the 3 years successfully, you will become a journeyman butcher. Also, you have to at least be 18 years of age and must have a high school diploma. You have to be able to lift at least 50 pounds above your head and carry carcasses daily. Butchers are responsible for several things, just to name a few. They're responsible for turning larger pieces into retail ready for restaurants and supermarkets. Not all meat is turned into chops and or steak. Some gets turned into sausage, roast, and even ground beef. All of those take special training on how to do those things correctly. Butchers usually work in a cold refrigerated room where the meat is stored and cut. As a butcher, you must remain patient and have a steady hand. If not, something dangerous could happen. Between knives and the wet floor and the bandsaw, you must be careful and cautious. In conclusion, being a butcher is a nice job to have, and not too many people say they can have the ability to do it. I have presented to you the history of butchering, how to become a butcher, and the responsibilities of a butcher. One thing you guys should take away from my speech is butchering is a form of art, and not just cutting meat and sitting it on the shelf. Thank you. That was my speech on the art of science of butchery. Now, the sites that I have cited would be, I use the Butchery documentary. It's a National Geographic TV. It was directed by Unknown, but the performance was by Thomas Wake, PhD, and the year it was published was 2013. My second site was alpinebutcher.com. The website title has always played a vital role in history. The article name is the finest and freshest USDA prime beef. The date assessed was July 9th, 2015. And my last site that I used was the butchersguide.com. And I didn't get a title for this, or I couldn't find out what date it was published. Thank you for listening to my speech again. It was on the arts and science of butchery. Thank you.